Selected ones. When they lighted those candles on silver plates and black mirrors, they believed they had you in a tight spot. Someone in your family is now looking at melted wax that is giving them readings that aren't conceivable. The thing they called forth has abandoned them, and their hands are shaking. Even those who are watching from higher levels are laughing uncontrollably because the cosmic joke is so flawless. You made your adversaries outsmart themselves, not simply outwit them. Everyone is in utter awe of the genius of your deceit. Imagine a brilliant magician who tricks the audience into thinking they're seeing a single act, while the true magic is happening right in front of them, undetected until the very end, when everything changes. 3 months ago, when you sensed a change in the atmosphere, the narrative started. You couldn't yet identify the creature that was pursuing you. Your triumphs began to crumble. You ran against imperceptible obstacles. Inexplicably, money that was supposed to go to you went in another direction. Solid relationships abruptly broke down for no apparent reason. Type Amen to embrace the angel's blessings. Show your support by giving super thanks up to $20. You were aware that something was amiss. You were unaware that a group of your adversaries had pooled their material and spiritual resources to plan your total devastation. They wanted more than just your failure. They wanted you to be so thoroughly and publicly humiliated that you would never be able to recover. This charge was being led by a member of your family, someone who is related to you, but not your fate. They persuaded other people to accompany them. Former loves who couldn't bear to watch you succeed, old pals who coveted your brilliance, and business colleagues who were frightened by your possibilities. Their evil partnership was forged with the sole purpose of destroying you. The planning meetings were quite careful. They sometimes met in person, sometimes via coordinated rites, and sometimes in secret. Everyone brought their own gripe against you, a perverted explanation for why you should fall. The relatives spoke about how you'd always come off as superior and how your success made them feel unworthy. The ex-friend discussed how you had evolved and how your development had overtaken them. Your ex-lover portrayed you as a cold-hearted person who put ambition before love. The following step became simpler with each lie they told themselves. They hired practitioners who specialized in what they referred to as justice work by pooling their funds. In reality, it was only spiritual murder disguised as virtuous attire. These professionals didn't inquire into the veracity of the accusations made against you. They started working after seeing the money and hearing the heartbreaking tales. Your name was engraved on candles. Black mirrors were used to reflect your shot. At crossroads, rituals were carried out in the dead of night. However, the universe was preparing something quite else while they were preparing to destroy you. Type Amen to embrace the angel's blessings. Show your support by giving super thanks up to $20. You see, you don't go alone when you're really chosen and possess a frequency that is vital to the progress of mankind. You haven't. The forces who accompany you have been engaged in a longer game than your adversaries may ever fully understand. The cosmos started warning you subtly. Dreams that were more authentic than reality. Too exact a coincidence to be a synchronicity. Animals that make unexpected appearances and convey messages via their actions. You were aware that you were being attacked, but rather of panicking, a deep-seated knowledge was triggered. It served as a biological memory for navigating spiritual conflict. You recalled this, you didn't learn it. The first indication of your triumph was cloaked in failure. Do you still recall the chance that passed you by last month? The one that seemed to be so ideal, so consistent with all of your efforts? Your adversaries rejoiced when you snapped. They believed that their spells were effective and that their goals were being realized. They were unaware that you let it go. You sensed the atmosphere around it, realized the gift was a trap, and decided to leave. However, you presented it as a failure. You even allowed yourself a little moment of disappointment. They had no idea that the game had begun, but this was your first move. You were creating something completely different while they were preoccupied with that fictitious triumph. You were spinning a web, and each prayer they sent to tie, you became a thread. In reality, every ceremony they carried out to obstruct your path was paving the way for something more significant. You know, most individuals don't comprehend the laws of spiritual battle. You establish a debt that has to be paid when you unjustly attack someone who is on a divine mission. And like a cosmic banker, you, the one who was selected, have been piling up their debts. You became aware of trends in their assaults. Usually feeble during full moons and powerful during new moons, they arrived in waves. This indicated that they were using certain energies. You started dancing with them when you grasped their beat. They overextended because you pulled back when they pushed. You didn't move when they pulled, so they wasted their efforts on nothing. Even more ingenious was the second part of your plan. In order to keep people interested, you began to portray a character that was just barely surviving. It was planned when you wrote that you were fatigued. It was pure theatrical when you seemed overwhelmed during that family get-together. They continued to put more effort into a conflict they had already lost because you provided them with just enough proof that their assaults were successful. But extraordinary discipline was needed for this feat. There were times when you wanted to demonstrate your full might. Every fiber of your being wanted to tell the truth when that family member made disparaging remarks about your difficulties at dinner. However, you resisted. You were excellent in your function. You even shed a few tears, not out of suffering, but out of deep comprehension. Type of men to embrace the angel's blessings. Show your support by giving super thanks up to $20. Consider it. Every general is aware that allowing an adversary to use all of their resources to assault a place you have already abandoned is the greatest strategy for defeating them. You turned into a mirage they were pursuing, a phantom they were firing at. The actual you, meanwhile, was constructing, producing, and extending in dimensions they couldn't even comprehend, all while functioning on an entirely other frequency. You also started to notice anything unusual throughout this period. Your adversaries believed they were depleting your energy, but in reality, you were becoming more powerful. Your energy field was turning every strike they fired into something constructive. Your fury was fueled by their hate. Their envy let them understand your goal. Their apprehension about your strength turned into validation of your abilities. Alchemizing their darkness into your brightness was what you were doing. Your adversaries conferred with their advisors. They deciphered signs, read constellations, and selected cards. They were winning according to everything. In their advantage, the candle flames danced. Their aims were in line with the omens. Here's what they didn't comprehend, however. The forces they were contacting had already taken a different stance. The thing they believed they had called out to harm you, before they announced its name, it had been observing you. It saw something in you that your adversaries couldn't see because they were too envious. Heavenly approval. This old and intelligent being instantly saw through their trivial human drama. It acknowledged the purpose ingrained in your DNA, the light you bear, and the significance of your contribution to the awakening of society. It accepted their presence when they summoned it with their requests and offers. However, it didn't mean to hurt you. Rather, it started giving them misleading information, which helped them fall farther into their own trap. They were given readings that were carefully constructed illusions. The creature displayed success signals to them when they inquired about the effectiveness of their spells. In reality, these emblems served as warnings of their own demise. They saw visions that they took as triumph when they wanted proof that you were waning. In reality, these visions were depicting their own impending defeat. The thing was pulling a cosmic practical joke. About 6 weeks ago, they carried out their most potent ceremony to date on a certain night. To pay for the supplies they had been saving for months. Specific sequences were used to burn rare plants. Ancient languages were used to speak words of power. They were so sure that this was going to be your demise. They had a rush of strength as they finished the ceremony, leading them to believe they had finally penetrated your barriers. In reality, they sensed that the cosmos was cataloging and marking their own energy. As proof of their unjustified assault, the Akashic records documented every word they said. They did not intend for each drop of blood they provided to constitute a legally binding contract. They committed themselves to the repercussions of assaulting a light bearer without cause. The increase occurred in the 3rd month. Your adversaries chose to go all in because they were intoxicated by their seeming success. To recruit more potent practitioners, they pooled their funds. They carried out rites that necessitated sacrifices they were unable to pay. Type Amen to embrace the angel's blessings. Show your support by giving super thanks up to $20. Doors that ought to have stayed closed were opened. To powers they did not completely comprehend, they made pledges, because they believed they were so close to completing you. At midnight, one of them even ventured to a cemetery. They were trying to enlist restless spirits to help them. In return for their assistance, they gave these spirits your energy. Spirits, however, are not foolish. From a distance, they are able to perceive the light around a selected one. These spirits didn't accept the bargain. They went home with your adversary. They started to show them images of what would happen to those who assault people who are protected by God. Since then, your adversary hasn't slept well. There is another conspirator who tried to enter your dreams. They deliberately researched astral projection ways to assault you while you were asleep. However, when they eventually succeeded in entering your dream realm, they discovered that it was protected by creatures of such immense strength that they instantly retreated to their own bodies. They won't share what they saw with the others, and they've been too scared to try astral projection once again. However, the cosmos responded in equal and opposite ways to every increase on their part. That's just the way reality is, not because you requested it. The financial barriers that someone attempted to impose on you showed up in their own accounts when they attacked a light bearer without reason. In their own homes, the interpersonal problems they desired upon you materialized. The health problems they attempted to infect you developed in their own bodies. The universe's reaction was measured and exact. They lost $10 for every dollar they spent attempting to hurt you. They lost days of tranquility for each hour they spent in ritual against you. They found themselves crying torrents for each tear they wished you would shed. When it comes to defending its chosen ones, the universe doesn't play. This lesson was being taught to your opponents in the most agonizing manner imaginable. Promote this video so that additional people who are selected like you may discover it if its message resonates with you. Because the thing that gets everyone talking in both spheres is what comes next. The culmination occurred last week. Didn't you sense it? Like shackles you were unaware you were holding, that surprising lightness vanished in an instant. That's when your enemy's last attack went utterly wrong. They had assembled for a last rite, a final attempt to ruin you forever. Words of power were chanted, circles were drawn, and candles were lighted. However, whatever they sent out struck a mirror the cosmos had positioned around you rather than you. 3 times as much power was reflected back. At the middle of their ceremonial circle stood the chief orchestrator, the family member who initiated all of this. The candles burst rather than just going out. In a language older than human speech, the mirrors they were employing broke in patterns that sent warnings. The rage of the cosmos, not the force they were attempting to call out, caused the very earth under them to quiver. In that last ceremony, the reversal was experienced differently by each participant. For 3 days, one was unable to express the falsehoods they had been spreading about you because their voice was gone. Another found that all of their pictures of you had vanished for no apparent reason. It was an obvious message. They were no longer allowed to speak your name, hold your picture, or even consider you without repercussions. As you read this, your principal enemy is sitting there bewildered. They lighted candles, but they can't keep them burning. They pick cards that don't make sense. In addition to abandoning them, the thing they believe to be their ally has marked them for cosmic judgment. They're attempting to comprehend how you not only survived, but also rose beyond it. They have been feverishly phoning their spiritual advisors, but nobody is picking up. In certain groups, word has gotten out about what happens when you show up for someone you've picked without a reason. They're getting their money back from the practitioners they hired. They have seen the karma that is starting to materialize in the lives of those who took part, and they do not want to share in it. The safeguards around you are not new. It was there all the time. However, the strikes of your adversary really help to completely activate it. Each of their spells turn into a lecture on why you should not come for heaven's chosen. In the cosmic court that is now judging them, every intention they established turned into evidence. There are levels of security that your adversaries were unaware of. Ancestral is the first layer. Although there are traitors in your lineage, there are also guardians who keep an eye on things from the other side. That lion-related dream that keeps coming back, your great-grandmother was demonstrating to you that you had a warrior's heart and the defense of pride. Angelic is the second layer. You are tasked with entities whose only purpose is to make sure you do your assignment. When someone attempts to take you off your path by force, they definitely step in, but they don't interfere with your free will. These guardians were always too strong for your adversaries. It's attempting to move a mountain would be analogous. Cosmic is the third layer. The universe has made too much investment in your growth to allow a few envious people to sabotage your goals. The next evolutionary step for mankind depends on the codes, frequencies, and talents you're carrying. You are one of the universe's most valuable assets in this timeline, and it safeguards its investments. A few of your enemies are trying to limit the damage. They are attempting to remember the energy they released. They are attempting to nullify the agreements they signed and shut down the portals they opened. However, it is not how spiritual law operates. You cannot just take back an unfair assault you have launched against someone who carries divine frequency. Balance will be attained because the cosmos requires it. They are now experiencing the return to sender phenomena, which is heightened in spiritual groups. Every unfavorable idea people have about you is showing out in their personal life. Their own gardens are sprouting from every curse they spoke. They've twisted their own futures around every bond they attempted to impose on you. The jail they attempted to construct for you is really where they are imprisoned. The quietness of your triumph is its most lovely aspect. There was no need for you to fight. It was not necessary for you to publicly defend yourself. It wasn't necessary for you to become like them. The universe took care of the rest. You just kept being who you are, following your course and working. This is the calm assurance of someone who is aware that they're shielded by powers that are incomprehensible to humans. They have been deafened by your silence. They anticipated that you would respond, defend yourself, and provide them with further ammo. They are now shadowboxing with air, exerting themselves against an opponent who won't even recognize the battle because you won't participate. More than any response could have, this has drove them insane. Your old pals who participated in this plot are now realizing their mistakes. For the first time, they can plainly understand how they were tricked into assaulting you. Some are attempting to connect via common friends rather than directly. They're afraid. They have seen what occurs when someone is marked for justice by the cosmos. They fervently hope that they may somehow avoid the repercussions of their decisions. In a recent dream, one of them found himself in front of a cosmic court, and you were there as a witness rather than as an accuser. Every instance of jealousy, treachery, and ritual they engaged in against you were all shown to them. Finally realizing the extent of their mistake, they woke up in a cold sweat. The Akashic archives include the details of every ritual that has been carried out against you. Every malicious purpose has resulted in a karmic debt that has to be settled. That's just how spiritual law works, not because you're vindictive. You pay the price for attacking the defenseless. You must deal with the repercussions of coming for the selected. The judicial system in the cosmos doesn't follow human timetables. While some effects happen right away, others take months or years to manifest. However, all debts are collected. Your adversaries are just now realizing that they have committed to a payment plan they never accepted and that the interest rates are unaffordable. They will carry a karmic burden from their assaults on you for the rest of their lives. The wealth they attempted to obstruct is now coming to you in avenues they were unaware of. The ones you lost seem like copper in comparison to the new prospects that are emerging. Connections that resonate with your actual frequency are either replacing or repairing relationships that were tainted by their influence. They attempted to undermine your health, but it is now stronger than ever. They attempted to break your spirit, but it has since become indestructible. The funds are coming from unexpected sources. That individual who felt driven to invest in your project out of the blue, that unexpected return, or that random check in the mail. It's not a coincidence. The universe uses these to give you back what was taken from you, plus interest. They are multiplying and redirecting every dollar they spent on their attempt to hurt you to your accounts. The connections that are now entering your life are very different in quality. These individuals are able to perceive your light without being alarmed by it. They don't have covert envy when they praise your triumphs. They encourage your development without attempting to control you. These are the relationships you were destined to have. To make place for the genuine ones, however, the cosmos had to first purge the fakes. Those who have seen this turnaround are amazed. Those who remained indifferent and observed from the sidelines are now sympathetic. They're seeing your graceful handling of a spiritual assault. They're appreciating the dignity you maintained despite attempts to discredit you. They're coming to see that opposing you was not only improper, but also risky. Just by watching your path, some of these witnesses are experiencing spiritual awakenings. They're realizing that there could be something to this chosen one nonsense if the cosmos is protecting you this strongly. They are beginning to doubt their own goals, their own defenses, and their own connections to God. Their change has been sparked by your win. Your foes attempted to ruin your reputation, yet has not only endured but changed. In spiritual circles, you've become something of a legend. The person who defeated organized spiritual warfare without resorting to physical combat. The chosen one who used intellect instead of force to beat a coalition of adversaries. The light bearer who demonstrated that heavenly support is a real, living power rather than only an idea. In spiritual forums and mystery schools, people are researching your case. When you were powerful, how did you know when to play weak? How did you keep your falsehood so perfectly disciplined? How did you have such faith that the cosmos will take care of your conflicts? You never planned to become a case study in sophisticated spiritual warfare, but here you are. Now some of your enemies are coping with the things they called forth turning against them. You see, you had better be on the right side of cosmic law when you call upon a force to carry out your wishes. These beings possess their own intellect and comprehension of global concepts. They didn't just stop supporting them when they saw they were being used to target someone who was protected by God. They focused entirely on individuals who had abused their position of authority. Your foes are now learning lessons from these entities that they would have preferred not to learn. They're displaying their own shadow selves to them. They're exposing the real reasons why they are attacking you. They're being forced to face the feelings of inadequacy, fear, and envy that push them to such extreme lengths. It's similar to cosmic treatment, except you can't miss sessions. One specific individual, whom you formerly had entire faith in, is now bearing the brunt of this turnaround. This whole scheme was planned by them. They persuaded others to join them. They extracted resources. They carried out the ceremonies. When people believed you were falling, they rejoiced too soon. The universe's flawless sense of justice is now magnifying everything they wished upon you. Their funds are vanishing due to unforeseen costs and unsuccessful endeavors. They lose every investment they make. Every chance they seize vanishes like mist in the morning. As more individuals realize who they really are, their relationships are disintegrating. They no longer have to wear the mask they did for so long. And it's not beautiful below. Because of the bad energy they produced, their health is declining. Doctors are unable to explain the unexplained aches they are experiencing. Fatigue that cannot be cured by sleep. Anxiety that is unaffected by medicine. They no longer answer to their call with their spiritual practices, which they formerly utilized as weapons. Their altar is lifeless and frigid. Only warning and reversal messages are shown on their cards. Instead of offering them peace, their meditation practice just serves to remind them of their own transgressions. They're going through a cosmic abandonment they never even realized was conceivable. This is where you really shine. However, you may be able to boast. They might be made public. You may smash them entirely with your now activated spiritual power. However, you won't, because you know something they didn't. It's not necessary to show off true power. It is not necessary to humiliate the loser in order to achieve true triumph. True selected people don't have to prove themselves to others. You realize that their own awareness serves as their punishment. Living with the knowledge of their attempts, seeing their total failure, and being aware that everyone in the spiritual world is aware of what they did. They will never be able to leave that captivity. You don't have to make their misery worse. More than enough has been produced by their own decisions. Words cannot express the strength of your quiet and triumph. Your unwavering devotion to your purpose is evidence of your spiritual development. What has really surprised everyone watching is your unwillingness to participate in their mayhem, even now that you have all the cards. For those who have spiritual sight, this quiet says a lot. It claims that you are functioning at a level of awareness that your adversaries cannot match. It implies that you have more faith in the justice of the world than in your personal need for validation. It implies that your fate is more important to you than their demise. You are prepared for the next phase of your mission when you reach this level of spiritual growth. The way you've handled this whole thing has been noted by the universe. You have shown that you are trustworthy enough to be given more authority, more complex tasks, and more responsibility. Passive protection has given way to active protection. Future efforts to hurt you won't simply fail. Those who are stupid enough to try will face swift cosmic repercussions. Your spiritual operating system has been improved by the exams you completed. Previously locked skills and protections are now available to you. Danger may be sensed before it materializes. Despite their masks, you can discern people's genuine intents. An inner compass that always points in the direction of your greatest good may help you navigate amid turmoil. These are tools that you have shown you can use properly. They are not prizes. Now you're starting a new stage. The initiation has over. The test has been successfully completed. The enemies have been rendered ineffective by their own acts, not by your intervention. The way forward is more obvious than it has ever been. You may now carry out the task you've been conducting without the persistent meddling of those who try to stop you. You have completely activated the task that has always been yours. Nothing can stop you from completing the task for which you came. The abilities you've acquired, the knowledge you've acquired, and the relationships you've deepened with God, all of these were essential preludes to what's to come. And what follows is greater than your adversaries ever thought you were. Your adversaries attempted to stifle your spiritual abilities, but today they're growing stronger than ever. You're now able to see through the veils that previously blocked your view. Patterns that previously baffled you are now becoming clear to you. You're gaining access to knowledge levels that were always there, but needed this struggle to fully awaken. Your downloads are now arriving more quickly. You are receiving discoveries, direction, and information with lucid clarity. You're comprehending not just what took happen, but also why it had to occur in this manner. You see the gift in the assault, the purpose in the betrayal, and the perfection in the suffering. Experience is the only way to get this kind of spiritual perception, which cannot be taught. Higher dimensional creatures who have been watching this whole scenario are pleased by both your success and the manner in which you got there. Many selected ones are unable to comprehend what you revealed. The best plan isn't always a strategy at all. Non-activity may sometimes be the most effective action. Refusing to recognize the existence of a conflict is sometimes the best strategy for winning it. These creatures are now getting ready to collaborate with you more closely. You have demonstrated through your trial that you are capable of handling their frequency without being ruined by the brilliance of their brightness or corrupted by power. They're getting ready to provide you knowledge that will support both your own goal and the advancement of society as a whole. From being protected to becoming a protector, you've advanced. Your opponents want combat. For them to have any influence on you, they required your involvement. You've demonstrated a certain amount of spiritual sophistication by refusing to offer them that interaction while giving them the impression that they did. You concurrently played many dimensions. And even you may not have completely appreciated the genius of what you were doing since it came so readily to you. You were quite good at controlling your energy throughout this strike. You never let fear or rage give you power. You never used your emotional reaction to support their ritual. Unwavering in your own truth, you stayed grounded on your own frequency. This is the essence of spiritual sovereignty, and the best defense against any kind of assault is sovereignty. As this epiphany comes to a close, realize that all that occurred was required. Your spiritual immunity was growing with each onslaught you encountered. You learned who really belonged in your life from each betrayal. In reality, Each challenge served as a springboard toward this ultimate triumph. This whole encounter was divinely orchestrated. In order to activate gifts inside you that could not have been awakened in any other manner, the universe used your adversaries as tools. They were your initiators, but they believed they were your enemies. They believed they were cursing you, but in reality, they were giving you the chance to show off your own strength. Now, the family member who spearheaded this plot against you must make a decision. They may keep going down their terrible road and deal with more and more repercussions. Alternatively, they might own their mistake and start the protracted process of atonement. They will never be able to touch you again in any case. No human purpose can break the seal of protection that the cosmos has put around you. This family member is learning that they do not have access to your energy because of their blood relationship. What should have kept them out, ancestral preservation, has now worked against them. Disappointed ancestors are paying them a visit and letting them know how serious their treachery was. They transformed the family, which was meant to be a haven, into a war. They are now discovering that betraying your family also betrays you. Jealousy is a poison that only affects the person who consumes it, as your deceived friends are discovering. Without knowing the hardships you endured to get it, they want what you had. They did not see your struggles, but they did see your blessings. They didn't envy your trip, but they did envy your goal. They are now learning that attempting to take another person's blessings simply prevents you from receiving your own. The practitioners they recruited are learning that when spiritual power is utilized for unfair ends, it always comes back to ruin the one who used it. Some of them are in a state of spiritual bankruptcy, in which their practices are no longer effective. As a result of their misuse of the spiritual world, they have lost their connection to it. Now they're simply ordinary individuals. They know that they will never have it again, yet they still remember what they used to be able to accomplish. Before toying with forces they don't comprehend, they need to have studied cosmic law, which is what the beings they called forth are teaching them. They are being shown by these creatures the actual nature of existence, the interdependence of all things, and the fact that you cannot damage someone without hurting yourself. They absolutely needed the education, but they didn't want it. However, you are free. Free from their assaults, free from their control, and free from having to constantly watch your back. They said the conflict was done. They also lost in ways that they are just now starting to comprehend. We'll examine how well you handled this. You've turned into a spiritual success story, an illustration of winning without engaging in combat. The lack of assault is just one aspect of the freedom you now enjoy. It is the existence of boundless potential. They have blown off the hinges of every door they attempted to shut. They have enlarged and cleaned every passage they attempted to obstruct. They have revived and magnified every dream they attempted to crush. Not only are you free from them, but you're also free to develop into the person you were always intended to be. Now, the universe is giving you access to doors that were always there, but needed this trial to open. It's pouring freely, the richness that was always yours. Relationships that fit your actual frequency are coming to you organically. More people will be impacted by the mission you've been carrying than you can now comprehend. These are heavenly appointments rather than just opportunities. They're setting up every person you're supposed to meet, every platform you're supposed to stand on, and every message you're supposed to convey. You will be amazed at the synchronicity that the cosmos is arranging. You will meet the right people at the right moment, be in the right location at the right time, and say the right things. Your adversaries believed that your narrative was coming to an end. Rather, they were only supplying the tension required for your most memorable chapter. They believed they were the cause of your demise. Rather, they served as the impetus for your advancement. They believed they understood you. Rather, you engaged in an intricate game that they are still unable to comprehend. The narrative they will use to defend their failure will never be accurate. They'll claim you were fortunate. They'll say their ceremonies were disrupted. They will maintain that they had nothing to do with the incident. However, they will know the truth in their hearts when they are alone with their thoughts and all is quiet. They paid the price for their conceit when they came for someone who was shielded by powers they couldn't fathom. Now, the defense around you is offensive as well as defensive. If someone tries to hurt you in the future, They won't simply fail. They'll face instant repercussions that will act as a warning to others. You are impenetrable because the universe has declared that you are vital to its goals, not because of your own strength. Everything that is related to you is covered by this protection. Your resources, your connections, your products, and your labor. The same supernatural protection that envelopes you now envelopes everything. Anybody who attempts to undermine your effort will see their own work fall apart. Loss will be tripled for anybody who attempts to take from you. Anyone who attempts to keep you apart from the people you care about will end up feeling alone and lonely. As you go, keep this triumph in mind as a reminder of who you really are and whose you truly are, rather than as a cause for pride. You have been selected. You're safe. You are led. Your adversaries have never comprehended and will never comprehend the power behind you. What you didn't do, rather than what you did, was what made your wins so brilliant. You didn't engage in combat. You didn't have to fight. You didn't put yourself in their position. You just kept on being yourself. And it was sufficient to cause their whole plan to be completely reversed. When future difficulties come up, keep this time in mind. Keep in mind that you are not required to engage in every conflict that is thrown at you. Keep in mind that sometimes the biggest triumph is achieved by not admitting the battle. Keep in mind that the world itself becomes your champion, your defender, and your vindicator when you're really in alignment with your goal. The cosmic joke is over. The comedy of the cosmos has been appeased. Your adversaries will never forget the lesson they learned. Few people ever reach the degree of spiritual authority that you have attained. Everyone is shocked, and it's not only because you won. It all comes down to how elegantly you accomplished it. Everyone in both worlds is paying attention to you because you transformed spiritual combat into spiritual art. Your triumph is having a cascading impact on the spiritual world. Your example is giving strength to other selected individuals who are being attacked in a similar manner. They're coming to see that fighting isn't necessary. They are realizing the existence and activity of heavenly protection. They are realizing that sometimes having complete confidence in the universe's flawless justice is the best course of action. Additionally, your triumph has sent a warning across the networks of spiritual warfare practitioners. The consequences of coming for a chosen one without a reason have been well publicized. Cases against light workers are now being turned down by certain practitioners. Some are including disclaimers into their offerings. They are cautioning that they cannot ensure victory against people who are protected by God. The game is actually altered because of you. When they lighted those candles on silver plates and black mirrors, they believed they had you in a tight spot. Those identical candles are now losing their ability to burn. And all they see in the mirrors is their own failure. Their judge is the thing they called forth. They are now bound by the spells they cast. Their most profound loss has resulted from the triumph they celebrated. And you're just where you've always been supposed to be. Elevated, shielded, triumphant, astounding, selected. There will never be another candle burning the same manner on their altars. They'll be reminded of a night their flames failed them each time they attempt to ignite one. They can only see their own shadows in the mirrors that formerly helped them concentrate their objectives. Their biggest failure is now symbolized by the weapons they used. In the meanwhile, your light is more radiant than before, eternal and impervious. A lighthouse to guide other selected individuals through comparable struggles. You won a battle that you didn't start, defeated foes you never engaged in combat with, sprang from a conflict you refused to address. The selected ones follow this path. This is the strength of heavenly support. This is the genius that has left everyone in every domain in absolute and total amazement.